Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Well, March 18th, 2018, that was when my camp received the official City of Oakland sanctioning. It was really quietly done. In fact, there was going to be a large media announcement about it because this was to be Oakland's new test model. And I had submitted that to Libby Schaaf. And here's how that came about. A lot of people are saying, well, how did you get that? It's been impossible for anybody to get a city sanctioning, let alone be able to stay in place without the threat of being shut down. Well, it started way back when I first set up shop, way back in 2014. As you remember, there was a lot of crime. The area wasn't being watched, which gave the area the label of the most uh, trashiest place, the trashiest street in the city of Oakland. And that was the very end of 77th Avenue. It was a dead end street. It used to go through 77th Avenue, used to go through. In 1963, that property changed. The reason why it changed was because of the rights of way had changed, and BART was now in the plan, and the um, end of 77th Avenue was going to be closed off because across the way, AB&I Foundry had purchased up the street and closed it off on the other side of San Leandro Street, as they ended up renting that property out a number of years later to a pallet company, which also had to move when AB&I shut down. So anyway, my camp, under my management, uh, when we start setting up, this was a good location because, number one, nobody was coming down to the end of the street supervising it, meaning police, City of Oakland, security guards, nothing was down there. So the area was full of trash from literally everything in Oakland. There was new trash, I mean, literally new products by contractors being thrown down there, and the piles were huge. The first cleanup down there, the monthly cleanup, in the first 3 months that I was there would be nine trucks, semi-trailer trucks, to haul away the garbage. They would have this big Caterpillar loader just scooping up and throwing into the backs of these large trucks. And they would take away nine of them. I believe these were 30-yard trailers. So it's a substantial amount of trash. I mean, we're talking furniture, construction equipment, general garbage. I mean, you name it. It was down there. But I was able to construct a shelter out of the new materials. I use waterproof insulation for my base foundation so that I didn't sleep on the ground. I was actually insulated from the ground. I created a 3-inch deep foam barrier. And then on top of that was my bed. Then the siding, which was plastic, which was thrown away. And then I made a roof out of the backs of discarded big screen TVs. And so that made my roof line. And then the plastic or those shells were glued to the wall of the building, and then the plastic on top of that. So that's why you saw two lines of dots. One line of dots held the backs of the TVs, and then the second dot held the plastic. So anyway, we dealt with a lot of the problems down there. Is we started dealing with trash dumping. How I did that was a new program that Oakland just had implemented, and it's actually still going right now. And it's how you report the dumpers. And that's also how I added to the income that I was receiving from Alameda County, which was only $350 at that time. So that was my food money for myself and Pandora, my dog. And if I had a little bit left over, I would share with some of the folks that were homeless alongside with me, namely Jesus, Sleepy, and for a while, I also helped Muhammad. So anyway, we controlled the crime on 77th Avenue, meaning first thing we did, we got rid of the pimps and the prostitutes. Pimps and the prostitutes were all night long, all night long. And once we set up shop there, that came to a screeching halt because we just go up there and interrupt them. We just bang on the window or throw rocks at there and say, get the fuck out of here. And that put an end to a lot of that. So the prostitution problem, that was a problem up the street, literally, on International, because these were the streetwalkers from International that would come down here to have privacy, and they knew they had privacy because of the stacks of trash. And if you saw stacks of trash, that means nobody was paying attention down there. And so that's why the pimps and prostitutes were going down there to service their johns. So we alleviated that problem. Then the Oakland program that I spoke of, I started reporting people, gave me an income. For a while, City of Oakland stiffed me on my payments. And there's a video on that I'm going to show you. And so there was a whole lot of events where, number one, we dealt with the crime in the area. Number two, we dealt with the illegal dumpers in the area. Number three, we dealt with the criminals in the area who were trying to prey upon us, the few homeless people. And so we used violent means to ward them off because they weren't coming here to have a tea party. And so you meet fire with fire, and then we had to have the hotter fire. My ring of fire took care of every one of them. So in early 2018, we're going to jump ahead. I'm going to skip a lot of stuff because there is a lot of stuff that led up to this. And also in 2016, I literally had a shootout with a six-armed gang. And all six of those gang members had guns. They robbed me and my friends at my camp. Literally, they robbed homeless people at gunpoint. They didn't realize I had my gun. I had one on my hip and also one which was hidden right next to me. And so anyway, when they came and robbed me, they got my stuff, which they had to drop on me because the way I had things set up at the time. And also, I no longer had my early warning device, which I had literally come to depend on, but I forgot. And that was Pandora, because I had to put her down. She was old age. In fact, I'm going to show you a picture of Pandora here in the next few minutes. I'm going to show you one of my last pictures of Pandora. You'll see, she is a really old dog. Then the next picture you're going to see is with me on March 18th, 2018, with Libby Schaaf at my camp, because there was going to be a city announcement, a City of Oakland announcement to everybody. It was on the media. We had all the media there that day for recording this and to get it on the news. We were going to be Oakland's new homeless self-governed model. And how that came about was because, number one, I controlled the crime. In an earlier conversation with Mayor Schaaf's office, her personal assistant, Karen Boyd, and I were in a lot of discussions and a lot of negotiations. And part of that negotiation was negotiating for housing for my people, number one, continuum of care, because a lot of people had health issues, health challenges, one of the biggest health challenges at the time was insulin deprivation. And, and a lot of Black folks have uh, diabetes that they do not um, attend to properly because, number one, they may not have the resources, meaning the money to pay for the insulin. Number two, they may not have health coverage. And number three, they may not give a shit. So those were the three choices. Um, and most of the people fell under number one. They didn't have the resources. But then you would come across number two and number threes, and number threes were the most difficult and the most problematic because the ones number threes were the only reason why um, our camp had to have a lot of 911 calls. It wasn't for violence or anything, it was for medical issues. And so that was one of the topics that I spoke to Karen Boyd about, having resources, medical resources down there, having uh, a refrigeration system to hold insulation for, or not insulation, the insulin for these folks, along with needles. And so these were things that I negotiated with the city of Oakland. Also porta potties, because before we were having to go in the bushes, 5-gallon buckets, and unfortunately some people dump those 5-gallon buckets down the storm drains, which goes to the bay, and we don't want that. And so that was a real important issue, hygiene. I also negotiated for showers because we had working people, people who had just lost their housing but still had jobs. Some of them were still even had their cars, and it was important for them to be able to shower and clean and look presentable when they went to work, which is also the reason why I had a curfew in my camp. We had a 10 o'clock no noise curfew, meaning 10 p.m., radios, voices, everything silent. And that held until 6 in the morning. And then that way, those that had to get up in the morning to work could get a good night's sleep, or the expectation of a good night's sleep. And so there were a lot of rules, which weren't unreasonable. The only people who really thought it was unreasonable were the troublemakers, the problem children, and we dealt with them. With my Ring of Fire, the group, we had very few issues. But as time goes on, my Ring of Fire got weaker and weaker. Main reason why: Sleepy died, Sam Ham died, Omar went into housing. My fourth person, he just flat disappeared on me, and then that left me, the only person to maintain that Ring of Fire for the camp. But I had my one of the things that the city learned through that back in 2016, October 6th, 2016 incident. Not only did the police arrive, but also they found out about my federal firearms license and that I was legal carry for 4 different weapons on that license when they ran my serial number on my Glock. And the other thing about my Glock that they were saying that the reason why they're keeping it, it was an illegal California gun because of the barrel. It was a Gen 2 G17 Glock, meaning that it was originally came from the Glock factory with a polygonal barrel, meaning it's not the standard barrel that you see in guns. In fact, California has a regulation on the guns where the barrel has to make ridges, striations on the bullet, cuts and grooves, lands and grooves, it's called. Whereas on a polygonal, you have peaks and valleys. It doesn't have any cutting grooves. It is a rounded, raised area. It has no cutting grooves. What it does, it squeezes on the bullet, and with that squeezing, it also has the twisting motion, and so you still get the bullet spin. Just that with bullets exit these types of polygonal barrels, there's no marks on the bullet left other than where it was squeezed, and that's it. There's no striation, so meaning that the bullet has no identification, no useful identification, because the barrel is not fingerprinted. It is not unique. It has no striation. It has no markings that uh, can be identifiable and unique to that particular gun or barrel. And all of my weapons are that way because of my federal firearms license. Also, because I work counterintelligence or counterterrorism, these were the guns that we used, and standard military type of weapons. My federal firearms license allowed me to purchase weapons as needed without having to go through a purchasing agent through the government, the GAO, or GOA, government. Um, so I didn't have to wait on the government to get any of things, and all of my weapons would show up. Once I had the weapons, then I'd register them and issue them to the different people who were part of my company, and they stayed. Those weapons stayed issued to those people. Period. And these were weapons that were for the military, but because we're under the Department of Defense, the weapons are still traceable. We are the ones that are the ghosts. So anyway, back to 2018, and so we get to the morning of what was going to happen, the big reveal for the city of Oakland. We set out chairs. Everybody who was in the camp, we were up to 18 people at that time inside the camp. So all 18 people were expected to be part of the video, the media, and announcement. And Libby Schaaf was there. Karen Boyd came up to me right away and said, Mayor Schaaf is here, and some of the other staff. And we're going to get underway real quickly. We want to talk with some of the other residents of the encampment and see how they're doing and congratulate them on the sanctioning. And so they went about that and everything. And finally, Mayor Schaaf, she comes over to me and she says, Derrick, this is such an exciting day. This is an exciting program, and I'm really happy to introduce this. I'm sorry that your city let you down. And I looked at her and I said, Oakland didn't let me down. You let me down. Oh, yeah, you should have seen the anger on Libby's face. I mean, in seconds, she turned a beet red with that. Because, number one, I didn't kiss her ass, and I won't kiss anybody's ass on something that, number one, I put together. I'm going to make you look good. While it benefits me, it benefits you more than it does me. So in my closing statement to me was, with this, you're going to look like a hero instead of a zero. You go back on this, you're going to be a zero. And I knew she was going back out on this because how angry she got with the first statement when I told her, you're going to be a zero if you back out on this. And she backed out on it. And what ended up happening? She turned into a zero. She could have been an absolute Oakland hero and furthered her political career by using the program because, number one, Karen Boyd, her personal assistant, they grabbed all the statistics regarding my camp and crime, 911 calls, everything since they knew about me from 2016. And they even found out stuff going back to when I first started living there in March of 2014. So, number one, Karen Boyd, she said, it is incredible the track record that you have with your camp. That we went back 3 full years. That would be to 2015. That was when uh, Operation Dignity. City of Oakland first sent Operation Dignity down to harass me, and I sent them packing scared because they violated my civil rights. And one of my campmates was Muhammad. Uh, he's a criminal, number one, and so he's afraid of authority, so to speak. And so anyway, um, Operation Dignity violated, number one, personal space. You never violate a homeless person's personal space. And how he violated that was uh, he came inside of a tented area and posted a vacate sign inside my personal area. Oh, I jumped on his ass real quick and threw him out, and he landed on his back. He said, I'm calling police. I said, good, call the police, because by the time they get here, they'll have something to clean up, because I'm going to mop the ground with your ass right now. I mean, he got up, he ran with his phone, and police never came. And then right after that, the phone number was posted to Operation Dignity. So I called Operation Dignity. I said, I hope you got a scared little motherfucker calling you back, because you send him back again, he gonna come back to you in a box. He threatened me, and that's not gonna fly. So anyway, those were some of the early harassments that happened, and then there were others, not so much done by the city, but their third-party agencies. And then what ended up happening, I also want to show you the reason why they couldn't do anything. So this first picture here is the identification that I got for the area, and the city of Oakland nor the police department could move me, because if you look on the address of my identification here, it shows 877th Avenue as my residence. And so that gave me permanency. I had already outsmarted them, and they said, well, what if we go into the business and ask them about this? I said, they're going to tell you, leave me alone. I'm allowed to reside there and receive mail, even though we know that ID does not uh, qualify you as that's your residence. But in this sense, it did. And then also, on top of that, because the police had to let me go set up on the property there. So I outsmarted the city of Oakland, and I took people with me. My personal group, which was at the time still Sleepy and Muhammad. And we went and we set up on the property while the police cleared out the rest of the people that were there at the time, because they didn't have anything that gave them some permanency. So the next thing after that, my gun license was discovered, and that I had worked for my previous was working for Department of Defense, and that really surprised a lot of people up top. And with that, that's why the crime dropped, because I knew how to deal with terrorism, and lower level crimes are just wannabe criminals that are trying to be terrorists. And that's how I look at it. And so I treat criminals and terrorists the way they should be treated. In the event that they get aggressive, I get just as aggressive, if not more. And then I actually invite them to go ahead and try whatever they're going to do. And a few did, and then they also learned that they what I call, they learned the fear of God, because I told them, you're going to learn to fear God when I get through with you, because you're going to swear that the hand of God came down and bitch slapped you. And there was a lot. It was a lot that I had to do to maintain that, but it was worthwhile. And so here's the ID. I'm going to put the ID up for you, and we'll come right back. So you see look at the address on my ID there, and that was the reason why Oakland couldn't really do anything. Plus, I called into question the the street, 77th Avenue. I did a lookup. This was part of uh, adverse possession, uh, which is a whole nother topic. But the research is still just like trying to uh, gain adverse possession of a home or property. This is the same thing. And this is an adverse possession, but we're not living in there trying to seek permanent um, uh, ownership, so to speak, because the street, the actual ownership was up in question in 1963. The city sold its right of way to Mr. Ng, the owner of 877th Avenue. Mr. Ng was, and how I know about it was because of the tax bill that came in the mailbox that I had put out on the building. So instead of the tax bill going to Mr. Ng's home address or business address, it came to this business, which was another business which had closed up. And the guards there, I had made really good friends with. In fact, I had the keys to the entire property. That's how much trust and relationship that I had built with all of the security guards of the property. And that was without the knowledge of the owner, Mr. Ng. But the guards were cool. They respected me. I respected them. You know, we all got along great. And the reason why uh, I I was able to go inside because number one, I had uh, gained friends, trust. I was very relatable with the guards there, so they allowed me to use the bathroom so that we could shower. I could shower myself, Mike, and also Muhammad, and also Jesus at the time. We could all shower and stay clean. So that was one of the benefits of uh, being a very personable type of person rather than just a jerk and acting like a jerk. And we that went on up until the building was rented to an agricultural company, and the agricultural company came in 2015, shortly after I had returned from my surgery for cancer, and they felt sorry for me, and I had set up across the street, and I was running a generator, and they could see us struggling or people struggling with filling the gas and everything, and they came out, offered a line, a power line to me, so that I had electricity, so that I could watch TV, cook, clean, and have lighting, things that were important for my recovery. And so I'm really thankful for that agricultural company and how they gave me the electricity, but my service to them, my payment to them, was to watch over all of their trailer truck chassis that they had parked out in the street. And each one of those chassis were worth about $25,000. These were for the big rigs to tow those big cargoes. And that's how their containers would come in with the cattle feed that would go out to the valley. And that's the kind of business. And that's the kind of relationship we had. I built great relationships with all of the businesses. In fact, I had a policy, a good neighbor policy with all of the businesses. And so they were able to contact me at any time. They could call me or they could text me. They could email me on my phone. And that's how I created the community that accepted my community. So in the next part, when we come back, we'll talk more in depth about building community and being a good neighbor. Thanks for joining me. We'll be right back.